We are live.
Yay! It is Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. I am Holden Dude. He is.
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
We are with Clash of Kings Theon 2. Um, Shadows of a Targaryen relationship all over the place. but
Yeah, we come to this one from Craster, and then we go back to like Tyrion's interactions with Cersei, where where he's always making incestuous comments too. So it's kind of right smack in the middle of incest and incest here.
I'd always suspected that George writes one character pretty much all the way through. And that might be why he can't release Wins a Winner early because he hasn't got other characters to the same point. But for the incest, that kind of shatters what I was thinking because it's
No,
all
I
right
mean
here in a row.
he goes back and lines them up that way, and he figures out where he wants to split them and align them. And that's one of the things that where people try and do. One of the things people complain about with reading orders that people put out, like
Yeah.
is that they're not doing what he intended to line these up like that, right? Like he does all the missing village chapter. We did 3 missing village chapters in a row, right? And
Right.
now we're doing like incest.
I have never read someone else's reading order. I've only read it the way that George wanted us to read it. I mean,
yeah, I have my own reading order that I read it multiple times in the published order, and then I have my own reading order. First word they hear from you are incest. And we're trying to summon a target.
I can imagine her ears just went, "Yep, I'm here."
kind of. So we were just saying that George clearly does care about the order that he portrays these chapters in, and that he kind of lines them up to be themes. Whether that's the 3 missing villages chapter, the 3 empty villages chapters in a row, or like the Craster incest, and then Greyjoy incest, and then back to Tyrion and his interactions with Cersei, which are definitely somewhat incestuous.
All right. Well, as always, if you've seen any of these videos, we start with the brains of the operation, which is Richard. And Guy pointed it out perfectly on Monday. My encyclopedia in human form is what keeps the order going properly. Because if it was up to me, we'd be all over the place. So we'll start with him. He'll say what he saw in the chapter, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff. So take it away, Richard.
And the main point of this chapter is the conversation and somewhat incestuous relationship of the Greyjoy siblings here. And so I decided to go through the notes and keep virtually all of the conversation initially, and see if it was any longer than our long chapters. And it's about the same as our long chapters to do it that way. So we're going to have lots of reading today.
Yeah, there you go.
She was undeniably a beauty, but your first is always beautiful, Theon Greyjoy thought. Now there's a pretty grin, a woman's voice said behind him. The lordling likes the look of her, does he? Theon turned to give her an appraising glance. He liked what he saw. Ironborn, he knew at a glance, lean and long-legged, with black hair cut short, wind-chafed skin, strong, sure hands, a dirk at her belt. Her nose was too big and too sharp for her thin face, but her smile made up for it. He judged her a few years older than he was, but no more than 25. She moved as if she were used to a deck beneath her feet. When Ironborn appraised... What we got here? Fun fact: they almost cast Alfie Allen's real life sister as a sister in the show, but then she read that chapter
and she's like, "Nope, ain't doing it."
Right. When Ironborn appraised Ironborn, they always noticed their feet or footwear, hinting at how sailors used to frequently go barefoot and have hardened feet. Ash's feet are so hard she has no problem going barefoot in snow. Balin almost certainly would have feet like the High Sparrow. There's a lot of details in this description that sound like someone who spends time at sea rather than as a wife of a builder. Not to mention the smile that seems to be the Greyjoy siblings' main trait.
Yeah, well, Theon's kind of coming off like an idiot. He's not nearly as smart as he thinks he is.
Right. He gives lots of clues that this is a person who's had spent lots of time on a ship, and yet he just accepts that she's the wife of the shipbuilder. It's like, doesn't quite match. Anyway,
he's thinking in his mind, if I talk enough junk, I'm gonna get what I want to get, and
Well, there's that too.
Yeah, his little head is thinking.
Yep. Yes, she's a sweet sight, he told her, though not half so sweet as you. Oh ho, she grinned. I'd best be careful. This lordling has a honeyed tongue. Taste it and see. Is it that way then? She said, eyeing him boldly. There were women on the Iron Islands, not many, but a few, who crewed the longships along with their men, and it was said that salt and sea changed them, gave them a man's appetites. Have you been that long at sea, lordling? Or were there no women where you came from? She grins like a certain smiley boy. He specifically realizes she's been crew on a ship, and yet he doesn't question her false backstory.
Yeah.
She's eyeing him boldly, like Catelyn with Jason Mallister, and like Catelyn with Jason Mallister, she's confident she won't be recognized despite no disguise with someone who should know her.
Right.
Catelyn and Asha are the mother in that they plead for peace, which I think is why she's always joking about her suckling babe. Trust the symbolism. I heard that from some guy in some videos. Woman enough, but none like you. And how would you know what I'm like? My eyes can see your face, my ears can hear your laughter, and my cock's gone hard as a mast for you. I'm sure Theon would claim it is a fat and presumably fake mast. The woman stepped close and pressed a hand to the front of his breeches. Well, you're no liar, she said, giving him a squeeze through the cloth. How bad does it hurt? Fiercely. Poor lordling, she released him and stepped back. As it happens, I'm a woman wed, and you with child. The gods are good, Theon said. No chance I'd give you a bastard that way. Even so, my man wouldn't thank you. No, but you might. And why would that be? I've had lords before. They're made the same as other men. She served on ships and sleeps with lords. Wake up, Theon.
It is really, really weird that, granted, he's talking shit and doesn't know who she is. She knows who he is and grabs the man's cock.
Yeah. And does it multiple times.
Multiple times, I know.
There Yep. Have you ever had a prince? He asked her. When you're wrinkled and gray and your teeth hang past your belly, you can tell your children's children that once you loved a king. Oh, is it love we're talking now? And here I thought it was just cocks and cunts. Is it love you fancy? He decided that he liked this wench, whoever she was. Her sharp wit was a welcome respite from the damp gloom of Pike. Shall I name my longship after you and play you the high harp and keep you in a tower room in my castle with only jewels to wear like a princess in a song? We like her too. The high harp and keeping her in a tower sounds like Rhaegar and Lyanna. The incest is certainly like the Targaryens.
Yeah. Which you also, they mirror Cersei and Jaime, as the girl is the older sister to the younger brother. So there you got that little. I mean, I doubt anything ever happened to this.
Right, and both of those are where that discussion of inheritance comes up, right? And I suspect when he wrote the first book, his intention was that there had been true female equality in inheritance, and so because you see how he made Rhaenyra in the appendix of the Game of Thrones be just a sibling 1 year older than Aegon, right? And you can tell he intended it to be that the law was that she would inherit before him. We see that he had to rewrite that with the whole, page 204, Fire and Blood, paragraph 2, but Widow's Law of 53 AC. So, he always intended it to be this secret coup where everybody expected the woman to inherit, and then they took away female equality, and and so the Cersei being older than Jaime thing, and Asha versus this is all sort of meant to be references to this whole concept, right?
No, were they slowly heading in the right direction and then just kind of started backtracking and digressing?
I think the idea was that history had greater female equality, just as history had greater female equality in the world. You look back at hunter-gatherer societies and things, and it's pretty clear that like patriarchy was sort of added later, right? So, and that's kind of where he was going for. And of course, the part of that is homage to the erasure of Asher as the Dione and so forth. All right. You ought to name your ship after me, she said, ignoring all the rest. It was me who built her. Sigrun built her, my lord father's shipwright. I'm Esgrid, Ambrode's daughter and wife to Sigrun. He had not known that Ambrode had a daughter, or Sigrun a wife. but he'd met the younger shipwright only once, and the older one he scarce remembered. You're wasted on Sigrun. Oh ho, Sigrun told me this sweet ship is wasted on you. Theon bristled. Do you know who I am? Prince Theon of House Greyjoy. Who else? Tell me true, my lord. How well do you love her, this new maid of yours? Sigrun will want to know. I suspect this is not an invention. The shipwright probably does resent Theon as not really Ironborn. And Asha saying my lord instead of my lord is an accent indicating what she is, according to Pip.
Yep.
Sigrun did me good service, he admitted. Is she as fast as she looks? Faster, for a master that knows how to handle her. It has been a few years since I sailed a ship, and I've never captained one, if truth be told. Still, I'm a Greyjoy and an Iron Man. The sea is in my blood. And your blood will be in the sea if you sail the way you talk, she told him. I would never mistreat such a fair maiden. Fair maiden, she laughed. She's a sea bitch, this one. There, and now you've named her, Sea Bitch. That amused her. He could see the sparkle in her dark eyes. And you said you'd name her after me, she said in a voice of wounded reproach. Poor Ash is so wounded.
As much shit as Theon can talk, she's out talking him.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's her point, right? She said, if you're as bad at this as you are talking to me, you're in trouble. I did, he caught her hand. Help me, my lady. In the Greenlands, they believe a woman with child means good fortune for any man who beds her. And what would they know about ships in the Greenlands? Or women, for that matter? Besides, I think you made that up. If I confess, will you still love me? Still? When have I ever loved you? Ironically, she's known and loved him his whole life and still does. Never, he admitted, but I'm trying to repair that lack, my sweet Esgrid. The wind is cold. Come aboard my ship and let me warm you. On the morrow, my uncle Aeron will pour salt water over her prow and mumble a prayer to the drowned god, but I'd sooner bless her with the milk of my loins and yours. The drowned god might not take that kindly. Bugger the drowned god. If he troubles us, I'll drown him again. We're off to war within a fortnight. Would you send me into battle all sleepless with longing? Bugger the drowned god, such blasphemy.
There's a couple of times in here that he reverts to his wolf ways.
Oh yeah. Gladly, a cruel maid. My ship is well named. If I steer her onto the rocks in my distraction, you'll have yourself to blame. Do you plan to steer with this? Esgrid brushed the front of his breeches once more and smiled as a finger traced the iron outline of his manhood. Come back to Pike with me, he said suddenly, thinking, what will Lord Balon say? Why should I care? I am a man grown. If I want to bring a wench to bed, it is no one's business but my own. And what would I do in Pike? Her hand stayed where it was. Theon's sudden speech and internal debate almost sounds like intervention, but I don't see why it would be. Sometimes people are just conflicted.
Yeah.
My father will feast his captains tonight. He had them to feast every night while he waited for the last stragglers to arrive, but Theon saw no need to tell all that. Would you make me your captain for the night, my lord prince? She had the wickedest smile he'd ever seen on a woman. I might, if I knew you'd steer me safe into port. Well, I know which end of the oar goes in the sea, and there's no one better with ropes and knots. One-handed, she undid the lacing of his breeches, then grinned and stepped lightly away from him. A pity I'm a woman wed and new with child. Flustered, Theon laced himself back up. I need to start back to the castle. If you do not come with me, I may lose my way for grief, and all the islands would be poorer. We couldn't have that. But I have no horse, my lord. You could take my squire's mount, and leave your poor squire to walk all the way to Pike? Sure mine, then. You'd like that well enough, the smile again. Now, would I be behind you or in front? You would be wherever you liked. I like to be on top. Where has this wench been all my life? My father's hall is dim and dank. It needs Esgrid to make the fires blaze. The lording has a honey tongue. Isn't that where we began? She threw up her hands. And where we end, Esgrid is yours, sweet prince. Take me to your castle. Let me see your proud towers rising from the sea. I left my horse at the inn. Come. Nobody knows knots like a high-born sailor, and she says, my lord, there are a lot of clues to appreciate on Ruby.
Yeah.
He liked the way she walked. There was a boldness to it, part saunter and part sway, that suggested she would be just as bold beneath the blankets. She walks with boldness for a reason, Theon.
Yeah.
Iron men did not bend their knees often nor easily, but Theon noted that oarsmen and townfolk alike grew quiet as they passed and acknowledged him with respectful bows of the head. They have finally learned who I am, he thought. Past time, too. Yes, they're magically all respecting Theon at the same time.
He's an idiot. Oh, what did it say?
Even Syrio Farrell knows Theon only sees with his dick. Hasn't my Lord Prince begun choosing his crew? Esgrid asked as they made their way toward the stable. Ho, Bluetooth! She shouted to a passing seafarer, a tall man in bearskin vest and raven-winged helm. How fares your bride? Fat with child and talking of twins. So soon? Esgrid smiled that wicked smile. You got your oar in the water quickly. Aye, and stroked and stroked and stroked, roared the man. A big man, Theon observed. Bluetooth, was it? Should I choose him for my sea bitch? Only if you mean to insult him. Bluetooth has a sweet ship of his own. I've been too long away to know one man from another, Theon admitted. He looked for a few of the friends he'd played with as a boy, but they were gone, dead, or grown into strangers. My uncle Victorian has loaned me his own steersman. Why, Mulf, storm drunk? A good man so long as he's sober. She saw more faces she knew and called out to a passing trio. Oler, Carl, where's your brother Skite? The drowned god needed a strong oarsman, I fear, replied the stalking man with a white streak in his beard. What he means is, Eldest drank too much wine and his fat belly burst, said the pink-cheeked youth beside him. What's dead may never die, Esgrid said. What's dead may never die. Theon muttered the words with him. You seem well known, he said to the woman when the men had passed on. Every man loves the shipwright's wife. He had better, lest he wants his ship to sink. If you need men to pull your oars, you could do worse than those three. Lordsport has no lack of strong arms. Theon had given the matter no little thought. It was fighters he wanted, and men who would be loyal to him, not to his lord father or his uncles. He was playing the part of a dutiful young prince for the moment, while he waited for Lord Balon to reveal the fullness of his plans. If it turned out that he did not like those plans, or his part in them, however, well, Theon thinks he might need to rebel against his father? I'm sure that would go well.
Yeah.
Even Dagmar Cleftjaw, the Blackfish of the Iron Islands, might not be with him there.
No.
I love the fact that the first time he mentioned Dagmar Cleftjaw, he's talking about how great his parents are, and then he goes, or even Dagmar Cleftjaw, as if he's much more of a legend than his parents.
Yeah.
Strength is not enough. A longship's oars must move as one if you would have her best speed. Choose men who have rowed together before if you're wise. Sage counsel. Perhaps you'd help me choose them. Let her believe I want her wisdom. Women fancy that. I may, if you treat me kindly. How else? If you pretend women are human, they fancy that. Theon is basically a pickup artist.
Yeah, they put him on MTV now.
The captain's daughter leaned over the rail, gazing after him. Her father had forbidden her to come ashore, but whenever Theon came to Lordsport, he spied her wandering forlornly about the deck. My lord, a moment, she called after him. As it please my lord. Did she? Esgrid asked as Theon hurried her past the cog. Please, my lord? He saw no sense in being coy with this one. For a time. Now she wants to be my salt wife. Oh ho! Well, she'd profit from some salting, no doubt. Too soft and bland, that one. Or am I wrong? You're not wrong. Soft and bland, precisely. How would she known? Not many are as salty as Asha.
Yeah, you also get the contrast to my lord and my lord between the two people.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
neither...
She's specifically saying my lord there, yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's echoing her, yeah. Wex, he shouted over the din and clatter. If he's up with one of those poxy whores, I'll strip the hide off him. He was thinking when he finally spied the boy, dicing the meat near the hearth. And winning, too, by the look of the pile of coins before him. Time to go, Theon announced. When the boy paid him no mind, he seized him by the ear and pulled him from the game. Wex grabbed up a fistful of coppers and came along without a word. That was one of the things Theon liked best about him. Most squires have loose tongues, but Wex had been born dumb, which didn't seem to keep him from being clever as any 12-year-old had a right to be. He was a base-born son of one of Lord Botley's half-brothers. Taking him as squire had been part of the price Theon paid for his horse. When Wex saw Esgrid, his eyes went round. You'd think he'd never seen a woman before, Theon thought. Esgrid will be riding with me back to Pike. Saddle the horses and be quick about it. Clearly, he's never seen a woman before, and there's no other reason why he's acting this way.
Yeah, Theon's an idiot.
The boy had ridden in on a scrawny little Garen from Lord Balon's stable, but Theon's mount was quite another sort of beast. Where did you find that hell horse? Esgrid asked when she saw him. But from the way she laughed, he knew she was impressed. Lord Botley bought him in Lannisport a year past, but he proved to be too much horse for him, so Botley was pleased to sell. Most of the islanders were indifferent riders at best, more comfortable on the deck of a longship than in the saddle. But Theon had spent 10 years in Winterfell and did not intend to go to war without a good mount beneath him. Lord Botley's misjudgment was his good fortune. A stallion with a temper as black as his hide, larger than a courser if not quite so big as most destriers. As Theon was not quite so big as most knights, that suited him admirably. The animal had fire in his eyes. When he met his new owner, he pulled back his lips and tried to bite off his face. Does he have a name? Esgrid asked Theon as he mounted. Smiler. He gave her a hand and pulled her up in front of him, where he could put his arms around her as they rode. I knew a man once who told me that I smiled at the wrong things. Do you? Only by the lights of those who smile at nothing. He thought of his father and his uncle Aeron. Are you smiling now, my lord prince? Oh, yes. Theon reached around her to take the reins. She was almost of a height with him. Her hair could have used a wash, and she had a faded pink scar on her pretty neck. But he liked the smell of her, salt and sweat and woman. The ride back to Pike promised to be a good deal more interesting than the ride down had been. When they were well beyond Lordsport, Theon put a hand on her breast. Esgrid reached up and plucked it away. I'd keep both hands on the reins, or this black beast of yours is like to fling us both off and kick us to death. I broke him of that. Amused, Theon behaved himself for a while, chatting amiably of the weather, gray and overcast as it had been since he arrived, with frequent rains, and telling her of the men he'd killed in the Whispering Wood. When he reached the part about coming that close to the Kingslayer himself, he slid his hand back up to where it had been. Her breasts were small, but he liked the firmness of them. You don't want to do that, my lord prince. Oh, but I do. Theon gave her a squeeze. Your squire is watching you. Let him. He'll never speak of it, I swear. Esgrid pried his fingers off her breast. This time she kept him firmly prisoned. She had strong hands. I like a woman with a good, tight grip. Theon would be on reality TV today. Started The Bachelor, kicked off Big Brother, won Celebrity Rehab, and working on his episode of Hoarders. But they all love him, he can tell.
Without a doubt.
I like a woman with a good tight grip. She snorted. I'd not have thought it by that wench on the waterfront. You must not judge me by her. She was the only woman on the ship. Tell me of your father. Will he welcome me kindly to his castle? Why should he? He scarcely welcomed me, his own blood, the heir to Pike in the Iron Islands. Are you? She asked mildly. It's said that you have uncles, brothers, a sister. My brothers are long dead, and my sister, well, they say Ash's favorite gown is a chainmail hauberk that hangs down past her knees, with boiled leather small clothes beneath. Men's garb won't make her a man, though. I'll make a good marriage alliance with her once we've won the war, if I can find a man to take her. As I recall, she had a nose like a vulture's beak, a ripe crop of pimples, and no more chest than a boy. You can marry off your sister, Esgrid observed, but not your uncles. My uncles? Theon's claim took precedence over those of his father's three brothers, but the woman had touched on a sore point nonetheless. In the islands, it was scarce unheard of for a strong, ambitious uncle to dispossess a weak nephew of his rights, and usually murder him in the bargain. But I am not weak, Theon told himself, and I mean to be stronger yet by the time my father dies. When our characters tell those things, they are usually false. Yeah. Preston pointed out one of the best examples. Jon switches which types of arrows he's shooting twice, then tells himself he didn't shoot his probably pregnant wife. My uncles pose no threat to me. Actually, there's one other thing I wanted to mention that I noticed while we were reading that. She had a nose like a vulture's beak, he says to this woman that he notices has this giant nose.
Yep.
My uncles pose no threat to me, he declared. Aeron is drunk on seawater and sanctity. He lives only for his god. His god, not yours? Might as well. What is dead could never die. He smiled thinly. If I make pious noises as required, damp hair will give me no trouble. And my uncle Victarion, Lord Captain of the Iron Fleet and a fearsome warrior, I've heard them sing of him in the alehouses. During my lord father's rebellion, he sailed into Lannisport with my uncle Euron and burned the Lannister fleet where it lay at anchor, Theon recalled. The plan was Euron's, though. Victarion is like some great grey bullock, strong and tireless and dutiful, but not like to win any races. No doubt he as loyally as he has served my lord father. He has neither the wits nor the ambition to plot betrayal. Euron Crow-Eye has no lack of cunning, though. I've heard men say terrible things about. Can you still hear me?
It sounds weird.
Yeah, it switched over. Actually, it switched to my watch.
I can hear you pretty good.
I don't know if my maybe my battery died on my headset. I don't know.
It still sounds pretty good. Yeah, I can hear you.
Where were we? I've heard
Euron Crow has no lack of cunning.
but not Euron Crow has no lack of cunning, though. I've heard men say terrible things of that one. Theon shifted his seat. My uncle Euron has not been seen in the islands for close on 2 years. He may be dead. If so, it might be for the best. Lord Balon's oldest brother had never given up the old way, even for a day. His silence with its black sails and dark red hull was infamous in every port from Ibn to Asshai, it was said. He may be dead, Esgrid agreed. And if he lives, why, he has spent so long at sea, he'd be half a stranger here. The Iron War would never seat a stranger in the Seastone chair. I suppose not, Theon replied before it occurred to him that some would call him a stranger as well. The thought made him frown. 10 years is a long while, but I'm back now, and my father is far from dead. I have time to prove myself. Theon does seem to know his uncles, and Asha knows Theon's weakness.
Yeah.
And it's really funny when you consider that he received word of Euron leaving while he was in Winterfell. So
yeah.
He's clearly more of a stranger than Euron is. I will speak to Helya when we reach Pike and see that you have an honored place at the feast, he said. I must sit on the dais at my father's right hand, but I will come down and join you when he leaves the hall. He seldom lingers long. He has no belly for drink these days. A grievous thing when a great man grows old. Lord Balon is but the father of a great man. That should be King Balon? A modest lordling. Only a fool humbles himself when the world is so full of men eager to do that job for him. I love that quote.
Yeah.
What shall I wear to this great feast? I'll ask Helya to garb you. One of my lady mother's gowns might do. She's off on Harlaw, not expected to return. The cold winds have worn her away, I hear. Will you not go see her? Harlaw is only a day's sail, and surely Lady Greyjoy yearns for a last sight of her son. Would that I could. I'm kept too busy here. My father relies on me now that I'm returned. Come peace, perhaps. Your coming might bring her peace. Asha tried, if only Theon had listened.
Nope.
Now you sound a woman, Theon complained. I confess I am, and new as child. Somehow that thought excited him. So you say, but your body shows no signs of it. How shall it be proven? Before I believe you, I shall need to see your breasts grow ripe and taste your mother's milk. And what will my husband say to this? Your father's own sworn man and servants? We'll give him so many ships to build, he'll never know you've left him, she laughed. It's a cruel lordling who sees me. If I promised you that one day you may watch my babe get sucked, will you tell me more of your war, Theon of House Greyjoy? There are miles and mountains still ahead of us, and I would hear of this wolf king you served and the golden lions he fights. Ever anxious to please her, Theon obliged. The rest of the long ride passed swiftly as he filled her pretty head with tales of Winterfell and war. Some of the things he said astonished him. She is easy to talk to, God's praise her, he reflected. I feel as though I've known her for years. You don't say. And doesn't this remind you of when Randa says that Sansa's going to tell her all her secrets and then basically does?
Yeah.
In the wench's pillow, if the wench's pillow play is half the equal of her wit, I'll need to keep her. He thought of Sigurd the shipwright, a thick-bodied, thick-witted man, flaxen hair already receding from a pimpled brow, and shook his head. A waste, a most tragic waste. It seemed scarcely any time at all before the great curtain wall of Pike loomed up before them. The gates were open. Theon put his heels into Smiler and rode through at a brisk trot. The hounds were barking wildly as he helped Esgrid dismount. Several came bounding up, tails wagging. They shot straight past him and almost bowled the woman over, leaping all around her, yapping and licking. Off, Theon shouted, aiming an ineffectual kick at one big brown bitch, but Esgrid was laughing and wrestling with him. A stableman came pounding up after the dogs. Take the horse, Theon commanded him, and get these damn dogs away. The lout paid him no mind. His face broke into a huge gap-toothed smile, and he said, Lady Asha, you're back. Last night, she said, I sailed from Great Wick with Lord Goodbrother and spent the night at the inn. My little brother was kind enough to let me ride with him from Lordsport. She kissed one of the dogs on the nose and grinned at Theon. All he could do was stand and gape at her. Asha? No! She cannot be Asha! He realized suddenly that there were two Ashas in his head. One was the little girl he had known. The other, more vaguely imagined, looked something like her mother. Neither looked a bit like this, this. The pimples went when the breast came, she explained while she tussled with the dog. But I kept the vulture's beak. Theon found his voice. Why didn't you tell me? Asher let go of the hound and straightened. I wanted to see who you were first, and I did. She gave him a mocking half bow. And now, little brother, pray excuse me. I need to bathe and dress for the feast. I wonder if I still have that chainmail gown I like to wear over my boiled leather small clothes. She gave him that evil grin and crossed the bridge with that walk he'd liked so well, half saunter and half sway. When Theon turned away, Wex was smirking at him. He gave the boy a clout on the ear. That's for enjoying this so much. And another harder. And that's for not warning me. Next time, grow a tongue. Giving your squire a clout on the ear, unheard of.
Not in these stories.
Theon kicked his boots off, let his cloak fall to the floor, and poured himself a cup of wine, remembering a gawky girl with knob knees and pimples. She unlaced my breeches, he thought, outraged, and she said, oh, gods, and I said, he groaned. He could not possibly have made a more appalling fool of himself. No, he thought then, she was the one who made me a fool. The evil bitch must have enjoyed every moment of it, and the way she kept reaching for my cock. I have no place here, he thought. Asha's the reason. May the others take her. Yes, it's all her fault for choosing to be born or for being female or something. Clearly, it's all her fault.
And the others take her. That's another northern thing, right?
Oh yeah. I don't know. Maybe not. But it's certainly a common saying in the books.
Yeah.
No, in fact, doesn't Robert say something about the others? I think Robert curses with the others as well. So I don't know that's so much.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Theon chose plain boots and plainer clothes, somber shades of black and gray to fit his mood. No ornament. He had nothing bought with iron. I might have taken something off that wildland I killed to save Bran Stark, but he had nothing worth taking. That's my cursed luck. I kill the poor. The poor tend to be much easier to kill, so that tends to happen.
This is true.
Dagmar Cleftjaw had not yet returned from Old Wick with the stone houses and drum, but all the rest were there. Dagmar and Brendan are the uncles who remember those forced to leave by the Baratheon-Stark alliance, and both are legends.
Yeah.
3 burly men were doing the finger dance, spinning short-hefted axes at each other. The trick was to catch the axe or leap over it without missing a step. It was called the finger dance because it usually ended when one of the dancers lost 1 or 2 or 5. Asha had 10 fingers and the confidence of an old pro.
Oh, yeah. I would not want to face Asha. Asha would kill me in about 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Lord Balon occupied the seastone chair, carved in the shape of a great kraken from an immense block of oily black stone. Legend said that the first men had found it standing on the shore of Old Wick when they came to the Iron Islands. To the left of the high seat were Theon's uncles. Asha was ensconced at his right hand, in the place of honor. You come late, Theon, Lord Balon observed. I ask your pardon. Theon took the empty seat beside Asha. Leaning close, he hissed in her ear, You're in my place. She turned to him with innocent eyes. Brother, surely you are mistaken. Your place is at Winterfell. Her smile cut. And where are all your pretty clothes? I heard you fancied silk and velvet against your skin. She was in soft green wool herself, simply cut, the fabric clinging to the slender lines of her body. Your hauberk must have rusted away, sister, he threw back. A great pity. I'd like to see you all in iron. Asha only laughed. You may yet, little brother, if you think your sea bitch can keep up with my Blackwind. One of their father's thralls came near, bearing a flagon of wine. Are you drinking ale or wine tonight, Theon? She leaned over close. Or is it still a taste of my mother's milk you thirst for? He flushed. Wine, he told the thrall. Asha turned away and banged on the table, shouting for ale. I think she chooses ale just to be contrary to Theon.
Yeah. Which I would think with that group and of sailors, the ale would be the more popular drink.
She's just drinking ale because that's what she likes, and that's what they drink. And wine is more for the refined and northerner than for the refined nobility than for the common man and so forth.
Yeah.
Does father know that you've married his shipwright? He asked his sister. No more than Sigrun does, she gave a shrug. Esgrin was the first ship he built. He named her after his mother. I'd be hard-pressed to say which he loves best. Every word you spoke to me was a lie. Not every word. Remember when I told you I like to be on top? Asha grinned. That only made him angrier. All that about being a woman wed and new with child? Oh, that part was true enough. Asha leapt to her feet. Rolf, here. she shouted down at one of the finger dancers, holding up a hand. He saw her, spun, and suddenly an axe came flying from his hand, the blade gleaming as it tumbled end over end through the torchlight. Theon had time for a choked gasp before Asha snatched the axe in the air and slammed it down into the table, splitting his trencher in two and splattering his mantle with drippings. There's my lord husband. His sister reached down inside her gown and drew a dirk from between her breasts. And here's my sweet suckling babe. He could not imagine how he looked at that moment, but suddenly Theon Greyjoy realized that the great hall was ringing with laughter, all of it at him. Even his father was smiling, gods be damned, and his uncle Victorian chuckled aloud. The best response he could summon was a queasy grin. We shall see who was laughing when all this is done, bitch. Asher wrenched the axe out of the table and flung it back down at the dancers to whistles and loud cheers. You do well to heed what I told you about choosing a crew. She did embarrass him, but she also did give him good advice about choosing a crew.
Yeah. Also, you got the gods be damned. That's another.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does it all the time.
Oh yeah. Good catch. If you had trouble to learn the first thing of Sigrun, I could never have fooled you. 10 years a wolf, and you land here and think to prince about the islands, but you know nothing and no one. Why should men fight and die for you? I'm their lawful prince, Theon said stiffly. By the laws of the Greenlands, you might be, but we make our own laws here. Or have you forgotten? It's too bad because by the laws of the Greenlands, the daughter comes before her uncle.
Yeah.
You ought to have no trouble catching our uncles, she smiled. One is drunk on seawater, after all, and the other is a great gray bullock so dim he'll probably get lost. Theon sat back down annoyed. I run after no man. No man, but every woman? It was not me who grabbed your cock. I don't have one, remember? You grabbed every other bit of me quick enough. He could feel the flush creeping up his cheeks. I'm a man with a man's hungers. What sort of unnatural creature are you? Only a shy maid. Ash's hand darted out under the table to give his cock a squeeze. Theon nearly jumped from his chair. What? Don't you want me to steer you into port, brother? Shy maids are usually brides in the story, but sometimes they can seal the heir to a kingdom. Yeah. I heard that in reference to young Griff in Triplet Targaryens, episode 3.
I was wondering how you would get Triplet Targaryens in this chapter, but you did it.
Shy maids, right there. Yeah. Marriage is not for you, Theon decided. When I rule, I believe I'll pack you off to the Silent Sisters. If Theon does decide Asha's fate, it's probably Asha Queen.
Yeah.
Rain was falling by the time he reached the swaying bridge out to the sea tower. His stomach was crashing and churning like the waves below, and wine had unsteadied his feet. Theon gritted his teeth and gripped the rope tightly as he made his way across, pretending that it was Asha's neck he was clutching. So in a sense, Asha helped him.
Yep.
I have made... Go ahead. Did you say something?
No, it's clear my throat.
Oh, okay. I've made my plans. It is time you heard them. I have some questions. When I require your counsel, I shall ask for it, his father said. We've had a bird from Old Wick. Dagmar is bringing the drums and stone houses. To Lizzie says. If the god grants us good winds, we will sail when they arrive, or you will. I mean for you to strike the first blow, Theon. You shall take 8 longships north. 8? His face reddened. What I hope to accomplish with only 8 longships. You are to harry the stony shore, raiding the fishing villages and sinking any ships you chance to meet. It may be that you will draw some of the northern lords out from behind their stone walls. Aeron will accompany you, and Dagmar Cleftjaw. May the drowned god bless our swords, the priest said. Theon felt as if he'd been slapped. He'd been sent to do reaver's work, burning fishermen out of their hovels and raping their ugly daughters, and yet it seemed Lord Balon did not trust him sufficiently to do even that. Bad enough to have to suffer the damp hair scowls and chidings. With Dagmar Cleftjaw along as well, his command would be purely nominal. Asha, my daughter, Lord Balon went on, and Theon turned to see that his sister had slipped in silently. You shall take 30 longships of picked men round Sea Dragon Point, land upon the tidal flats north of Deepwood Moss. March quickly, and the castle may fall before they even know you are upon them. Asha smiled like a cat and cream. I've always wanted a castle, she said sweetly. Then take one. Theon had to bite his tongue. Deepwood Motte was the stronghold of the Glovers, with both Robert and Galbert warring in the south. It would be lightly held, and once the castle fell, the Ironborn would have a secure base in the heart of the north. I should be the one sent to Deepwood. He knew Deepwood Motte. He'd visited the Glovers several times with Eddard Stark. This is actually a reasonable objection.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. I mean...
Anyway.
Yeah. Balon doesn't trust him, for sure. I mean...
Oh yeah. I mean, he's holding his tongue because he knows they're never going to listen to him. But he's
Yeah,
actually right.
yeah,
Anyway, Victorian, Lord Balin said to his brother, the main thrust shall fall to you. When my sons have struck their blows, Winterfell must respond. You should meet small opposition as you sail up Salt Spear and the Fever River. At the headwaters, you will be less than 20 miles from Moat Cailin. The neck is the key to the kingdom. Already we command the western seas. Once we hold Moat Cailin, the pup will not be able to win back to the north. And if he is fool enough to try, his enemies will seal the south end of the causeway behind him, and Rob the boy will find himself caught like a rat in a bottle. Asha will eventually point out how stupid this whole plan is, but I guess she doesn't have much choice at this point.
yeah.
Outside, the rain was falling harder than ever. The rope bridge twisted and writhed under his feet. Theon Greyjoy stopped in the center of the span and contemplated the rocks below. The sound of the waves was a crashing roar, and he could taste the salt spray on his lips. A sudden gust of wind made him lose his footing, and he stumbled to his knees. Asha helped him rise. You can't hold your wine either, brother. Theon leaned on her shoulder and let her guide him across the rain-slicked boards. I liked you better when you were Esgrid, he told her accusingly. She laughed. That's fair. I liked you better when you were 9. We might have preferred him then too.
Yeah,
I
that's
do
true.
I do like the fact that she helps him, right?
Yeah,
He helps him rise from his knees, right? This is like I don't know whether that's like that could work. Sometimes I wonder if the point was for him to speak up with a reasonable objection, and it was a failed test with Balon that he didn't. So I like that, Lizzie. Yeah,
yeah. Actually,
I
pretty
like that
good.
a lot. So that could symbolize that in the future he's going to kneel to her and she's going to gesture and I don't know, or
Yeah,
it
yeah,
could mean that, or it could represent her helping him rise, could represent her elevating him at a second King's Moot, right, and the whole concept of the latecomer and so forth.
right. Yeah, I can see that. And I like the son's comment. That was actually a real. I mean, I agree. I agree with Lizzie. I think that was an opportunity that Balon set a trap or not a trap, but an opportunity for Theon to be bold, Theon to be his son, and he didn't step up because he would have been the better choice to take Deepwood Bond.
Right.
But I think this whole time he's just been digging and waiting for Theon to grow some balls and
I mean, he
act like.
specifically tells him that he doesn't want his counsel, that he's not. When
Yeah,
I want
but
your
I mean they're
counsel, I'll ask.
ironborn. I mean, I
I don't know.
still think that Balon is just one big test after the other to see how much wolf is in his son. I mean,
Could be.
yeah. Another thing on the sea stone chair, you know how we like the Erie with the rearwood throne that Sweet Robin sits on that might be messing with his head.
Right,
I
right, right,
wonder
right.
it. I wonder if the sea stone chair does the same thing for the person that sits on it.
Yeah, people have commented on that, and they wonder whether the reason he's so skinny and as if he's wasting away is that it's radiation or something, right? And
Yeah,
I don't know though. The thing is, I know the other Greyjoy brothers are huge, but Balon is specifically short and skinny, and Theon tells you that he's a lot smaller than most knights.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Theon's not. I mean, he's probably barely bigger than John. Is he?
We are made to know he bit his tongue, and I think that's for a reason. Yeah, well, I think it's that he specifically wants to speak up when he knows that he's going to get in trouble if he does. So I think he's I think he probably is correct. I think he knows that he's not allowed to speak up, but that's just my take on it.
Hmm. Well,
Good
I mean,
interpretation,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
as we always say.
yeah. It's a fun
Well,
chapter to read. I mean, the it's definitely one of the funnier ones.
up next we have Tyrion 6, and his incestuous relationship with his sister, and in fact a rather poisonous relationship in this case.
Yeah, that's true. Not a whole lot in the Theon chapter, but just plot building and backstory and setting things up.
Well, it's amazing how little there is after the conversation. This really is all about his interaction with Asha there. And
Yeah,
so yeah, I was like, oh, I kind of want to conclude this whole conversation. Let's see how long it is. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm assuming that since she's a new character, he used this chapter to set her up to us of
Oh yeah,
what kind of character that she is. What
yeah,
kind of
yeah. It makes us really like her,
yeah.
especially since
I mean,
you've been set up to see Theon as kind of a ridiculously boorish individual at this point, right? And so seeing her get that much the better of him makes us like her that much more.
well, it also gives us insight of how the Ironborn think. I mean, their mentality, the way they go about things. It's. I mean, I know it's based on what Vikings, their whole way of life. Um, but it does give us a really good behind the scenes of what the Ironborn actually are like. So it's a good chapter.
Yeah, well, it's their leadership, right? I mean, he does mention the fact that they really do. These islands really are filled with farmers and miners and things. They're not. The Ironborn aren't all sailors, but
Yeah.
anyway.
What this was it the Good Brothers or whatever that lives too far from shore with they're one of the richer families on the islands.
Right.
Hmm. All right. You got anything else for this?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, well, it's only 46 minutes, so you didn't do too bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad for trying to quote almost the whole chapter.
Yeah, well, I mean, with that chapter, I agree with you. I think you had to. I think the important information is exactly what you covered. So,
Yep.
all right, we good for Friday?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Lizzie, you got anything? Oh,
Theon is like a Sansa, vapid and completely out of touch until they learn some very hard lessons to open their eyes. Yeah, exactly. I've been saying that over and over again. People will talk about how, oh, what was that one tweet? So people like Santa have to apologize for this. I'm like, and do people who like Theon have to apologize for the captain's daughter, and do people like Jamie have to apologize for Jory? I mean, if you like them or you don't like them, and there's
yeah,
good things and bad things about all the characters.
yeah. If you like the character, I mean, you're extremely forgiving. If you don't like the character, and I think a lot of the Sansa is based off the show. Um, I think the Sansa hate stems from the show. And like I said, I think was the last time or the time before. It's not the actress's fault. She portrayed how she was told. She didn't write the script. I mean, she
Right.
had nothing to do with it. The showrunners and everything took a character that has a really good arc in the story. Her arc is getting extremely interesting, and just kind of made it monotoned. I mean, just stone bitch across the way almost. But
Right.
I mean, there's not so many characters I hate. There's things that I hate that they did, and I try not to be too forgiving. But I mean, all of them got something to put into this
Yeah.
story.
It's funny how many people will try and apologize for those things, and I'm like, just accept the fact that they used to be evil, and they're like Jamie, for example, like
Yeah,
he kills Jory because he was evil at that point, and he's decided he's going to be good going forward, right? And that's
yeah.
part of what's great about him, is that he's a story of a guy who's just decided he wants to be great.
Now I know in the show he kills Jory, but in the books it's his men, right?
Well, he orders
Yeah,
them
yeah,
to kill us,
yeah, yeah,
kill
yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah.
Ned's men.
Same thing, same thing, same
Yeah,
thing.
I mean that's like
Yeah,
saying that Joffrey didn't kill Ned or whatever.
yeah,
Um, I was thinking about recently about I keep saying that I expect Jamie to be dead at the beginning of Winds, right? With as
right.
dead as Davos and Bran and Rickon and the Mountain, right? And and I got to thinking about it. I'm like how many times do we see bad Terminator spits? How many
Yep.
times do we see people with unrecognizable skulls? And I'm like, the only two that that we're supposed to really believe are dead, I think, are probably just Ned and the Septa. Is there anybody else that we're actually supposed to believe that the unrecognizable skull is really that person's skull? I can't think of any.
Not off the top of my head. He does have the scepter up there beside Ned when he took Sansa up there, didn't he?
Well, and she specifically says that that she can't even recognize it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I mean, once they once they dip them in tar and put them up there, and the crows start getting at them.
Right. So,
yeah.
But I got to think about, I'm like, so that's 4 times we've seen skulls where we're pretty sure they're not really their skull, and twice we've seen unrecognizable skulls where we're sort of supposed to believe, and I know that people out there that don't, but we're basically supposed to believe that those are their skulls. And so I was like, that's a interesting ratio.
Now, there's something you mentioned about the when Brim's going to bring back the golden hand and the head of the person that was sent to spy on her.
Right.
Would that be Lemon Cloak? It would have to be somebody with blonde hair.
That's what I'm saying, Lizzie. Is I think that those are 4 times we've seen people with unrecognizable skulls that they weren't, right? Davos, Bran, Rickon, and the Mountain are 4 that where people said they were going to kill them, and then they proved they did, right? And that's part of why I believe that we're going to see, I mean, as Jamie says, he doesn't even necessarily have to be, if they didn't send somebody to spy on her, or she lost them on the way or something.
Right.
There's plenty of bones around. He specifically says that he's going to get Cleos's bones. And thinks to himself, that won't be a problem, right? Because bones aren't recognizable anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's like all the crap that happened there in Winterfell. I guarantee you that the bones that are sent probably aren't the bones that are supposed to be. The bones of Ned probably aren't Ned's bones.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, why would King's Landing save the bones after they beheaded him?
Right.
I mean, for how long? For what? 6 months, even more.
Right.
Before Tyrion. I mean, they're probably not even Ned's. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense that they're probably not. He's probably thrown in a mass grave.
Yeah, just somebody's bones.
Yep.
Because I mean, I know the without the skin and everything holding it and all that stuff is shorter, but even Cat seems to say that he's even shorter. So I don't think
that they might have the skull, right? Because he certainly would have had to order the skull taken down to avoid it being obvious that if word got out that he'd lied, right? So
yeah,
so he probably it might have the skull.
Yeah. Well, Tyrion's the one that tells them to take it down, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I trust Tyrion with the skull, but the rest of it's probably not dead.
Yeah, probably not.
But the skull's probably the most important part.
I suppose.
Magically, I don't know. All right, Fridays, same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks, Lizzie. I appreciate it. And y'all take care. Happy Hump Day. Countdown to Ice of FireCon. I think we're down to what, 28 days, something like that.
Lady Dustin will make some weird smartphone voodoo doll with them.
Yeah, yes, you will.
Could be.
That woman's got a purpose. So y'all take care. We'll see y'all Friday.
If you want to read more about Ned's bones, it's the appendix, or isn't there like an appendix to the Shadrick one on Toodles where he
can't
goes
remember.
through. What's that?
I said I can't remember.
Yeah, it's really good though. It's really good. He talks about the heptarchy, is that what it's called? Septarchy, whichever one these 7. Anyway, he talks about the 7 kingdoms of old England and how they and specifically some of the Lizzie, and specifically the story of the parallels are with the bones, right? It's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah. All right. See y'all Friday. Take care. Goodbye, Richard. Bye, Lizzie. Bye, Lady Thistle, wherever you are.
Bye.
Bye.